Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Air Force is Wing Commander Jason Bowles. We are honoured to welcome Mr. Matthew Keane, Director, Young Veterans Australia. We also welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, would you please stand and join in singing the national anthem?
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Those requiring a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Harold Dean Anderson. Harold Anderson, known as Harv to his mates, was born on the 2nd of February 1898 to John and Clara Anderson of Toowoomba, Queensland. Harold's father was a well-known identity in Toowoomba, having run a grocery store on Ruthven Street for 35 years. A number of Harold's brothers owned stores in and around Ruthven Street in later years. Harold was educated at the South State School and worked his way up to the rank of sergeant in the local militia forces in Toowoomba. He was described as a bright young man, one of those lads whom to know was to love. His disposition was bright, and the quiet and unassuming manner always displayed by him endeared him to all who knew him. Harold Anderson was desperate to go to war, with reports suggesting that, had his age permitted, he would have been one of the first to enlist from Toowoomba. Rather than put his age up, however, he waited to enlist until 5 days after his 18th birthday in February 1916. He underwent a period of training in Australia before leaving for active service overseas with reinforcements to the 15th Battalion in August 1916. Anderson left Australia with a provisional rank of corporal, which reverted to private when he reached England. He continued training on Salisbury Plain for some time before leaving for the battlefields of northern France in December 1916. He arrived in the middle of the coldest winter in more than 30 years and joined his battalion as it rotated in and out of the front line. Within a month, he fell sick with tonsillitis and spent 10 days in hospital recovering. Private Harold Anderson rejoined the 15th Battalion in the front line on the 19th of January 1917. The battalion was just finishing a program of training, which he joined over the next few days. On the 23rd of January, the battalion moved into the front line near Gerdecourt to relieve the 46th Division. It had been snowing before the move, and there was a hard frost on the ground. But the bitterly cold weather was not the only threat to the frontline soldier at this time, despite active operations being on hold for the winter. The artillery of both sides was fairly active, seeking out each other's trenches and strong points. Artillery was still an inexact science, and the quieter months of the year were a good opportunity to test the range and accuracy of the guns, as well as continuing to harass the enemy. On the 27th of January 1917, a 6-inch shell, assumed to be an Australian shell that fell short, landed in trenches held by the 15th Battalion, killing Captain William Nichols and 3 others. Among the dead was Harold Dean Anderson, although his death would later be recorded as happening on the following day. In all his letters home, Harold had written most cheerfully and hopefully of returning, but it was not to be. He and the other men killed in the blast were taken from the battlefield, and today they lie near each other in the Guards Cemetery at Les Boeufs, France. Harold Anderson died just days before his 19th birthday. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Harold Dean Anderson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.